Welcome back to Talking Flag. New season, new conversations. I'm Ambra.
And I'm Tika, and today we're talking to someone who is shaping new pathways in the sport of flag football.
That's right. We are joined by someone leading one of the most exciting developments in collegiate flag, the head coach of the first women's flag football team at UW Oshkosh.
Yep.
Please welcome Deante Jefferson.
Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Deante, thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled to talk about the growth of this sport and what it means to build something brand new at the college level.
Yeah,
So
it's
go ahead.
no, I just wanted to reiterate, how exciting it is to be in this position and be at such a great university that has tremendous amounts of success from all sports, from volleyball to men's track and women's track are always phenomenal. Women's gymnastics team, shout out to them. But being able to be the pioneers, especially in our state and at our level, it's such a blessing. Truly, really is.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So we didn't realize that there's so much more going on at this university. So, Deante, just people hearing your name for the first time, can you just please explain a bit about yourself, who you are, and what's your journey been like that led you to this moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting journey of how I got here. I was serving in youth advocacy for 3 years prior to this, right out of college after my undergrad at UWSP. And, I loved working with youth and just guiding and being able to shape them. And I coached football for the boys for 3 or 4 years, from varsity all the way down to junior varsity, coaching the offensive line. That's what I played in high school and at the collegiate level. And then all of a sudden, somehow I get wrapped up into and being asked, hey, do you want to coach a flag football team? A number of the girls, it was the girls of the high school of Appleton North who actually came forward and said, hey, we want this. And me serving in my advocacy role, I said, well, go talk to your athletic director. He's the one who makes it happen. And then I was at a tournament after our first season, which went tremendously well. We had a handful of girls who had never even touched a football before, and they came out and they were phenomenal. And I run into our athletic director, Daryl Sims, at the tournament. And then my first initial kind of contact with him was, hey, I just need a place for my girls to go play college ball at. And you're here, you're local, and I'm from the area. So I have great experience. And I know you're a great university. And that turned into a whole conversation of what might be in the future. And next thing I know, I'm applying and I'm given the ropes and the reins to be kind of part of this head program. So I feel blessed and honored that came about. It's interesting because I was trying to go to law enforcement like 2 years ago, and now I'm a college head coach. So interesting how one door will close and another one will swing wide open.
Wow, what a journey indeed. And is it right that before UW Oshkosh, you coached both offensive line and girls flag football at Appleton North?
That is correct. I started coaching at Appleton North with head coach Rob Salm. He brought me in as one of the assistants to Paul Engen for the junior varsity offensive line. I've always loved the offensive line, not just because I played it, but it has those selfless kind of attributes to it. And then once that season ended, I was able to just take on the flag football role as a head coach. And it was, to me, that next step up in my coaching career. But more importantly, it was a space for young women to be seen, to be heard, and showcase their talents. I mentioned earlier that some of those girls had never played before. So to me, it felt even more important that we went out and we structured it how we could. Now we had to be cognizant, right, for the other sports, your softball, your track, to make them feel like, hey, I'm not trying to steal your athletes. I just want to share and offer them this opportunity. And then the girls who didn't even have a spring sport and had never played a sport before. My starting center at the time had never played a sport before. And then she came out and started as center for us and did phenomenally well. And then you had girls who just all walks of life started to create those relationships, which is what flag football is all about, right? Young women coming together, uplifting and encouraging one another so they can grow to higher heights. So it was a blessing. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I had great support then, and I have even greater support now. So I know I'm in the right place and was in the right place there.
And how did those experiences shape your coaching philosophy moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I've had my own coaches, right? I've had from your screamer to, hey, I'm going to talk to you in a calm voice. And I had to go through that wave myself, and learning what type of coach do I want to be, right? I want to be a player's coach who is there, not just the athlete, but the person as a whole. So that experience, especially, I had never coached young women before. So I had to learn how to even break down a simple post route. How do I break that down even more? Or a concept, how do I break that down for a freshman quarterback so she can understand? Even the rules, because in the state of Wisconsin, with it not being sanctioned, the rules, it's the wild, wild west out here, right? So we're having to learn all those as a piece. And it helped me now because I've had some sort of experience of building a program. While high school and a college is vastly different, I still have experience of what it means to build a winning culture and a winning program.
That's really interesting. So, how would you describe then the mission of this program in one sentence?
Family. You said one sentence. I'll give you a word. It's just family. At the end of the day, to me, winning, yes, I want to win. I want to win championships when that time comes. But if I don't create a place where young women can come in and feel like they've got 27 other sisters, then I'm not doing my job right. If that makes sense, right? The whole idea of sports is to come together with people who you never would have came together with. And I think we're seeing that already with this team. It's a benefit and an addition that we have great talent here. At the end of the day, to me, it's about the character building and helping them get ready for the rest of their life. Because you're not an athlete forever. My time has ended well a long ago. I like to think I still got it, but I know I don't. But, I had those times of being able to build my character so I could do life. And that's what we're trying to do here, in addition to being great students and great athletes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And extremely important, because it's not about just the sport, it's about education as well. So yeah, women's flag football is obviously exploding now, even at the NCAA level. So what made you believe this sport was worth championing and building into something big?
You'd be a fool if you didn't believe it. Honestly, it's just the exposure that it's getting. Flag football itself isn't new. You see your local YMCA has girls of all ages at their level, right, playing flag football. I officiated it in my high school years. So it's nothing new. All that's new is that young women are now being given the space to go out and ball. And we got some ball players in this country, and especially in the state of Wisconsin. We got some ball players. So I knew from the get-go that this would be something that I had to be a part of. Not for me, right, but for the young women who deserve the chance to go to college and continue their athletic career. And I love that UW Oshkosh and Chancellor Manohar Singh and Athletic Director Daryl Sims were 100% on board and wanted to be part of that as well.
And was there like a specific moment for you that made you think this can go somewhere huge?
That's a great question. I think for me, it was all the way back in my high school at Appleton North when Jerry Kabuski, the athletic director there, said, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" Some people said at the time, "Hey, you're doing too much, you're asking too much." But for me, it was no. You can never do too much of something that you're passionate, you love. And I love this sport, and I love coaching and uplifting these young women. And I just knew that moment, it was just changing the rest of my life.
And so when you're building a program from the ground up, what's one challenge that surprised you maybe, or something people outside coaching don't really think about?
I think, I'll speak for myself and my experience. We're building a program, and I started in October, right? So from where we are now, I didn't have a year to recruit like some schools, right? I didn't get to sit down, go through a bunch of states, go through some prospects, and then bring them in the next year and start from there. No, I had girls that were on campus. So one challenging thing was trying to find the right time to just get a meeting for them to be compliant and have those first introductions. And we had 3 days in December that were supposed to be tryouts, right? But then given the numbers, it was okay, let's just see where everyone kind of falls. So I think the biggest challenge is not knowing what you don't know. You just have to learn as you go. That's the biggest thing that I can think for me and my staff, learning the new rules and all those things. Because while we know football, right, flag football is still different. So the biggest thing you can do is just go and read and just have fun. The group of girls that we have here, they make it phenomenal. It's so easy to have fun with these young women, right? We're having a blast at practice. We're singing, we're dancing, we're just laughing, and I'm truly blessed to be in this position. But I think the biggest thing is just be patient. Also, there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, especially when you're building from the ground up, right? And you have to learn, okay, what do I need from a programmatic lens? I need my players, I need the uniforms, I need the gear. Okay, then where's my playbook at? You got to think, where are how many of my players, right? Do I have a handful more that know what they're doing, right? Because then you got to tailor it, especially to those who don't know what they're doing, and you can't leave them feeling left behind, right? But you also can't slow it to where those that know what they're doing, they're not being given the chance to grow and excel. So that's where you really start to intermix those who know what they're doing and those who don't know at all what they're doing. So you try to intermix that to really push each other. And I think we're seeing it here, and it's working out in our favor.
I love what you're saying there. So it sounds like you know what you're doing because you have the experience, but at the same time, you're like, well, you learn as you go, like go with the flow a little bit more instead of just being really rigid with your planning. I really like that, what you're saying. And absolutely, you just talk about inclusivity. So how can we make a session interesting for somebody who's experienced and a beginner maybe? So for example, one way we do that is, for example, to ask the more experienced player, hey, do you want to take this person under your wing? Do you want to just explain how you do things? Just to give them a bit more of the ownership and responsibility. And they usually really like that without making them feel like, oh, I've done this 100 times, just give them a bit more responsibilities. That's something that I find that works really well with young players when coaching them. So what do you think is the hardest part of maybe recruiting then and culture building right now?
I'll hit the recruiting piece first. I think recruiting wise, when your state doesn't have it sanctioned, and I know the WIAA and coaches and athletic activities directors in our state were working very hard to make that happen. It's just the time and the process. But it does make it difficult, right? Because then you're looking at young women and they don't know. Now, again, I'm not shy. You don't have to know football. I'll take you if you don't, as long as you can play ball. But we still want to give them the chance to know football and learn how to play this. And right now, being the only public university in the state of Wisconsin, we're still trying to get our name out there. Our name's out there for other reasons, but we're still trying to let people know, like, hey, we're here. I'm spending time in Milwaukee. I'm spending time in Neenah, in Appleton, letting people know, everywhere I go, if I'm going to a high school, I'm wearing my brand and letting them know, like, hey, I'm here. And when it comes to culture building, shoot, I think the hardest thing that can be, again, is not knowing, what type of players you're going to have. For my case, I didn't know what these players were bringing in, because I didn't know them on a personal level. But just from what I've seen, right, we truly have a family here. So the biggest thing that I think is, you have to be patient with that culture piece. You can't rush a good culture, and there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be bumps in the road, but you have to be willing to learn how to move through those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just going to say, are there any misconceptions about starting a women's flag program at the collegiate level, you think?
I would assume that I think the biggest misconception overall is that it's a very expensive sport. You look across all the other sports that you have to pay for, this is relatively inexpensive, right? And it's very cost effective though too. I would also say maybe another misconception is that football isn't meant for girls, but we're obviously clearly seeing that girls can play ball. And honestly, I would take my group of girls over any group of college male athletes any given day, because I feel that confidently that we're just athletes, right? You have to literally move your hips to the side and stay at top speed to prevent someone from pulling your flags. That's not easy to do.
Right.
So that's how I'd probably answer that question.
Yeah.
And do you see like a difference or do you feel that there's a difference in coaching girls versus boys? Like, do you feel like you have to adapt?
Oh, certainly. I mean, the levels of trust can be different. Definitely the coaching styles, right? And just the personalities. Now, I think it does, like, not each person is the same person. So for any coach that's out there, I'd say, there's no such thing as a one size fits all coaching style.
Mhm.
Right? And then especially between young women and young men, very vastly different from my experience. Sometimes, right, the young men, they need you to light that fire inside them, and sometimes young women just need you to, uplift and encourage and remind them that they know what they're doing and that you believe in them.
Mhm.
Just the way that you coach and how you're delivering your message. I learned very early on that in a big team kind of gathering, right after a first game, I look at the quarterback and I say, the intercept, I didn't look at her, but I'm addressing the team and saying, our interceptions cost us the game, and
Mhm.
to a general athlete or just somebody who's been in the game before, you can kind of connect those dots,
Mhm.
and some young women might hear, oh, so you're blaming the game on me. No,
Mhm.
there were other factors that contributed, but the biggest takeaway is we turned the ball over.
Mhm.
So that's not something, right, that I had to learn of. Rather than address it as a whole and specifically say the interceptions, I can just say, hey, we had a lot of mistakes and errors that cost us the game on both
Mhm.
sides of the ball, and then go to my quarterback on the side and say, hey, our decision making, right, when we're going through certain reads, that's what caused those turnovers, and that's how we got into some undesirable situations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just changing the words. Exactly what you're saying. You're saying the exact same thing, but you maybe just take off the emotional load so people don't take it personally. I think that's
Mhm.
the point. And maybe girls when they're younger they might do that a little bit more. So I like how you make that distinction. And you're really careful with how you word things. No, that's great. That's really being adaptable to your audience. I think that's really good.
Yeah, plus you're pulling someone to the side and then tell them what you think instead of just, putting it in the group. I think that's also really important because you don't know how someone will react and what they need in that situation. So that is very important as well. So yeah, it's really cool what you're trying to accomplish with your program. Yeah, really resonates with us as well because flag football isn't just a sport; it's an opportunity for building a community, for building a family, for education, life skills, and those things. So it's really awesome. And we've witnessed the rise of flag football in Europe as well and globally. And there are growing pains, and that's normal. But there's also incredible potential.
Hmm. Hmm. And when you hear that, Deante, so about opportunity and growth beyond just wins and losses, so what similarities or maybe differences do you see between flag football's growth and what you experienced in high school football?
Ooh, that is, wow. That is like probably the toughest question
Oh,
ever. For
sorry.
some reason, I don't know, but I mean, I think you get so, like, football, for example, you get so used to it just being one of those sports, right? I mean, not a whole lot changes in the sport of football. You get a few rule changes here and there. You get an expanded playoff, and then again, now they want to expand it even more. But you don't, I think, see as much passion in football as you do in flag football.
Mm.
Again, that's from someone who's played it, who's coached it. There's passion, no doubt, but I genuinely believe that these young women, they show up, their wholehearted self, right? Because
Mm.
this is a lot of times, right? They've left one sport and now this is their chance again to get to be an athlete and to find
Mhm.
another family. So that passion to me, it's just there more. And I love that. And again, it was mentioned all across the globe. We've had people from different countries wanting to come be a part of my program, other programs. I think that's phenomenal because it's not just increasing, the play and the athleticism, right? But it's just bringing new ideas from other places around the world here to our universities, right? And that's what college is all about, hearing
Yeah.
new ideas and new experiences. I mean, I never studied abroad. I wish I would have, right? But now somebody's on a team and they're from Germany, Jamaica, Canada, and now somebody on the team wants to go study abroad because their best friend is there, and now they can go visit that person's home country. So
Mhm.
I think it's just going to, like, the sky's the limit for this sport and how it's growing.
Mhm.
And again, it's so unique that there's nothing like it. There really isn't. You have 7-on-7, all those tournaments for the young men across the country, right? But it doesn't necessarily always correlate to on the field 11-man football. So they're two really different things. Whereas flag football is flag football. It's the same thing. So when these girls are on their travel club teams, they can take those instruments that they're learning and just bring them back to their team that they're playing with in that next season.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love how you answered that question. You said it was difficult, but it makes sense. So what I'm hearing is really the passion in flag football is what stands out from maybe high school football, and the opportunities it brings for especially young girls nowadays. So yeah, brilliant. And can you then maybe share a moment, maybe from your time at Appleton North or in planning this program, that reminded you why you do this work, why you love this so much?
I'll say from Appleton North, honestly, our first win and then our first tournament, those were some pretty big moments for us that I think just reminded me of why I coach. Just being able to see that genuine joy on their faces, especially even after some long, hard practices, some losses and things like that, just being able to see that joy on their faces, especially, our very first win, our very first game. Appleton West was a great opponent. Their girls were extremely talented, but when we came out on the larger end, right, as the victor, I think it really set in like this is for us. And this is where we're meant to be. And I think the girls were really ecstatic. Like, hey, I just went out and played in the first flag football game for my high school and I won. Nobody can take that away from you. So you get to hold that dear to your heart. Speaking now to this team, we had a team meeting this past weekend and you could just hear all the stories of how much this means to some of these young women. Some of them, they were high school athletes. And then they got to college and they thought their athletic career was over. And then here you get your university is offering you an opportunity and all you got to do is show up, have fun, and give your whole heart. And one can not concerned, but one thing that dawned on me was how close or how much time is it going to take for us to establish a family culture where girls can go to one another, right? They're spending time outside of flag football. They're going to get breakfast. And that's exactly what they did. They got the afternoon off on Friday after their lift, and they went out and they had all you can eat pancakes. It's the little things like that bring joy to me, knowing that these young women went from maybe feeling isolated or alone, or just having a small group to now they have a whole 13 other sisters that they can rely on, that they can tap into, and they don't have to do college alone. Because being a student is hard in college. Yeah. And then you add in being a student athlete. These girls are getting up. They practice at 6 a.m. And it is hard to be a student in college, to be young, to get off your phone, get off your streams, and go to bed. That's hard, but we're doing it. And we haven't had somebody late to practice once, So I think that speaks volume, and it just brings so much joy, especially, when they're dancing and singing and cracking jokes. It's like almost every day I get reminded of why I do what I do.
I mean, it's brilliant everything you said, but I'm really interested in the all-you-can-eat pancakes.
I had their deal, and they brought them back, and they were like, "Oh, it's all-you-can-eat pancakes." I'm like, "Yes, please go eat food."
No, but just on a serious note, no, I love what you said, and it really shows the passion that you bring to this program. When you say they bring so much joy, I can only imagine how that feels as a coach to see that bonding between the girls, between players. That is very wholesome. That's really, really wholesome. And so, what did that moment, maybe that specific moment, teach you about leadership?
It reminded me and my staff, how important a head coach and the assistants are, right? Because it's not just me doing it. It's my assistants, my defensive coordinator, my special teams coordinator showing up and showing to these young women like, hey, we're here for you. We care about you. It's us having like that open door policy, right? You can come in, you can chat with whatever you need to chat about. Send us an email, talk to us after practice. It reminds us every day how they're looking to us for more than just the X's and O's, right? Because life's hard and people got to lean on somebody.
Yeah.
And when you're in a position as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, the youth, they look to you, right? Because they know you've gone through some life. Now, hey, I'm not too old, but they still know that I've gone through some things and I
Yeah.
know some things. So they're going to look to me, right? So then anything you say, they're going to take it, and they're not, they're smart. So they can smell when you're lying and not being truthful. But as long as you're truthful, they're going to take what you say to heart, and they're going to lean on that and trust that. Now, I'm going to get some things wrong, no doubt. But I'm always going to be honest with them and let them know, hey, I was wrong in doing that, right? That wasn't my intention. That wasn't how I meant it to come out when I said that.
Mhm.
But being accountable, I think, is another position as a leader. We hold our girls here to a very high standard. And I think when you hold that high standard consistently, they buy in even more and they trust you even more because they know your word means what your word is. And our girls are starting to really buy into that, doing the little things right. We always say, stay behind the line. We don't wear jewelry. We have our team shirts, our practice shirt, and our lift shirt. And they know, hey, we're going to wear these things because we're one team, one family. So we're going to look all the same when we're out here in our uniform.
Mhm. Yeah, so you mentioned holding each other accountable, the high standards. I think it's so important not only for the sport itself, but also for their life after sport and after studies. Like this is skills that they can use in their work or whatever they're pursuing after college. So it's super important that you're teaching them these things. Um,
Yeah, but
so,
even sorry, I was just going to say even things like it's respect, isn't it? Respecting the coaches, respecting the other players. There are rules in place, and you'll have rules everywhere in life. So there's small things, but I think that's really important, the accountability and the standards that you put there. So sorry, yes, that's the only thing I was going to say.
No, absolutely. It's the rules. And sometimes I think that athletes forget that the rules that apply in life and in work and in studies also apply to the sports, like it's still, you got to still be on time, you got to still respect your teammates, um, well, etc. So it's always good to remind them that all those rules still apply there and maybe even more there, right? To be able
Mhm.
to compete and to win. Yes, so if your program works exactly how you hope it will, what changes in the next, say, 5 years?
No not trying to disrespect other programs, or I know there's going to be some great competition out there, especially in our conference of the WEAC, and once everyone kind of gets on board. But I think in the next 5 years, as long as we are on the right track and we handle adversity well, and we stay together, I think we're looking at consistent national championships, consistent
Mm.
conference championships, right? And I know, some coaches may not want to be bold in that, but I believe in this program, I believe in this university, and I believe in these young women. I've got over 60% of my girls are freshmen. So we have a lot of time to build, to grow. So by that time, we're looking at a lot of championships. And if they don't come, at least hopefully, right, we've taken young women and we've helped them improve in their lives. And we've given them the tools to go be champions of life. That's what the bigger goal is.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Not just national champions, but champions in life. Yes,
in
very
life,
nice.
yeah. And that's probably the answer to my next question: what your dream long-term impact on the game and its athletes would be.
Definitely the champions of life again, but I think it's also, not just at the college level, not just at the high school level, right? But we're seeing leagues pop up for young women, in elementary schools, right? Young little girls who, right, this is their dream now. They can start to picture themselves and envision this, right? They instead of, or not instead of, but in similarity, right? Instead of yelling Caitlin Clark for three as your little girl is in second grade chucking up a big shot, right? Now she's yelling some other big female athlete in flag football. She's yelling her name. The Odell Beckham catch, right? The Odell. Now there's an opportunity for that to happen in flag football. So young women get to look up to somebody who looks like them, who sees them, and that's where it continues to grow. Right? This isn't just going to stop at the college level. It's going to go back down and hit. And now all of a sudden, it's part of the curriculum in elementary schools and middle schools, and that's where we're hopefully being able to see the growth.
Love that. So we're going to move on to something a little less difficult. So I'm really sorry. I thought we said in the introduction there was no difficult questions, but they were a bit tricky. Really sorry. So just a bit more easy peasy now. So when you're not scheming plays, when you're not building culture or recruiting, what do you actually do for fun, Deante?
Whew. I recently, as of like 3 years ago, I started doing sports photography. So that's actually a really big pastime for me. Whether it's sports photography, doing weddings, just senior photos was a big thing this past summer. I always found it, because I enjoyed when I got my photo taken in sports. So I
Yeah.
wanted to do that and then expand it and offer opportunities, at a low cost for families who maybe couldn't afford somebody who was going to charge you $200-300.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make that affordable. I have a dog at home. Her name is Trixie. I love her dearly. So if she ever sees this video, just know I love you, girl, even though she likes to drive me crazy sometimes. But I also just enjoy spending time with my family. We're all very close. So just being able to be around them, but then also just being outside. I mean, we have such a beautifully, wonderfully made world that is just beautiful in its creation. So just being able to get out and enjoy that and just get a nice tan in the summer, because this Wisconsin winter has got to go. I'm done. Once that summer comes, I'm going to be ready to go.
No, that's great. And is there something surprising maybe most people wouldn't guess about you if you did?
I think a lot of, if you didn't go to high school with me or maybe even college, you might not know I'm a big Hamilton fan. I'm actually planning
Oh,
to go see it at the PAC relatively soon. I'm very excited. I came across Hamilton when I was in high school. My AP government and politics teacher, he played one of the Hamilton songs, and then it actually became my ringtone, and then it became my alarm tone. So it was just 24/7. Which actually inspired me to go and study political science or criminal justice in college. So I'm a big Hamilton fan, especially the original cast. King George, hey, you killed it. He killed his role. So I just love that show and all that it means to this country and everyone who sees that and just speaks to them. So I really love that.
fabulous. And one last question then. If you could challenge anyone, athlete or celebrity, to a flag football match, who would it be?
Oh, you gonna put me under pressure? Um, you know, I just want to meet Dak Prescott, so I'm gonna just say Dak Prescott because that is my guy. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I would just love if I get to meet him and maybe, hey, why don't you just teach me a thing or two? I'd love to have that happen.
Amazing. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that, right? Great.
Okay, so in this season 3, we like to leave our listeners with something to think about. So, how can I use sport or my position in sport to create opportunities for others? So, if you're
Yes.
listening,
Sorry. Yes, I was just going to say. So sorry, I broke up way too early. Deante, so why do you think this is a crucial question for people like yourself, like coaches, athletes, and advocates right now?
Ooh, I think especially when you're in a role that people look up to you, whether it's a coach, whether you're a varsity starter at your high school game, or whether you're already a college athlete, right? People are looking up to you. So you have to represent yourself and whoever else you're representing in a positive manner, right? So it's always critical to think of what is my action or actions or what are these words going to say? And it's really important because it puts for my as a coach, right? It then makes me think of, okay, when I say something, how am I going to say it? When I'm addressing our team and I'm talking about adversity, right? What am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What examples am I going to use? It's really important to just sit and ponder, all the things that you mean to somebody and how you're going to approach certain things, right? So when we have adversity as a team, they're going to look to me. So if an official, if I don't agree with the call and I get beside myself and I'm screaming and yelling, I just showed my team, hey, when adversity comes, you don't stay calm. You don't keep composure. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. I've lost my cool, right? But you have to think, all these eyes are on you. And that's what we're seeing right now as UW Oshkosh. All these eyes are on us because of we're the first ones to do it, right? So we have to go out and show that this is a sport for young women. They want it, they belong here, and that this space is for them. So you might as well get on board.
Mm-hmm. That's a
That's
great
amazing.
reflection. Yeah.
And you're like absolutely leading by example, which is so important. I'm really glad that you're thinking so much about how to frame a message, how to behave as a coach. And because you, like you say, like the girls are looking up to you and they're taking you as an example. So be the best example you can be, right? So that's absolutely amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time for our signature segments, starting with Rapid Fire 2.0. Each episode this season, Rapid Fire looks a little different.
Yes, and today it's quick decisions coaching edition. Okay, we'll give you two options. Just go with your instinct. Okay, you can expand on one answer if you like, but otherwise, we just keep it moving. So, Deante, are you ready?
Born ready.
Okay. Oh, wait, my little video. All right.
Okay, question number one, culture or playbook?
Culture.
Development or winning now?
Development.
Discipline or creativity?
Discipline.
Film room or on field reps?
Film room.
Accountability or motivation?
Accountability.
Individual growth or team identity?
Team identity.
Coach-led or player-led leadership?
Player led.
Building slowly or fast results?
Slow build.
Nice. That was
Wow.
quick
Is that
answers.
it? I killed it. Oh, I did good.
Yeah. There's
Good.
no right and wrong. It's really what you think, but that was brilliant. That was just really quick. Lots of people are like, and ahhing, like, maybe this, maybe that. And you were just determined. Bang, bang, bang. Really, really nice.
Okay, you said just go with your gut. I heard one option. I was like,
There you go.
unless I hear something different, we're going with this one.
No, really good. Can I just ask? So you said player-led leadership, as opposed to coach-led leadership. Could you just expand a little bit? We're just out of interest.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides when it's player led, when it's coach led. To me, when it's player led, right, then the players that buy-in is there, right, and now
Mhm.
they're holding each other accountable. They're bringing their true emotions. They're bought in more. There's nothing wrong with coaches leading at some point, right? That's our job as coaches, right? Especially when you're early build, you have to be the one in the front of the bus.
Yeah.
But as I've explained it to recruits and to other players here, my whole role is I just want to be in the passenger seat of the bus saying, hey, there's a deer, please don't hit it, right? Slow down, go around it, whatever you got to do. Because then they're guiding, right, where we stop, right? If we want to take a pit stop, if we want to slow down and what we're installing and just focus on, what we've already installed. When we have team meetings, what topics are we bringing up? And then they're more open to speaking with one another. So to me, player led, that's the best. And I think any coach across the country would agree that the best culture is a player driven culture.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is like a real collaborative approach. And what we would know from research generally, also psychology research, collaboration is the most important thing for people to buy in. And what's interesting, what you're saying is, the metaphor that you used on the bus, I really like that. So basically what you're doing is you're giving some leadership to your players, but at the same time you are there to supervise, just to make sure everything is going as it should, but you're still giving that responsibility, which I really, really like. So I'm gonna steal that, I think, that metaphor.
Just to go off your point, like my whole job, right, whether I was in youth advocacy or a coach, right, I'm just giving you tools of how to do certain things. I've told my quarterbacks, I'm not the one on the field. So whatever decision you make, whether it ends in a touchdown or an interception, as long as you can tell me why you made that choice, we're going to live with it. Now, the film study and review and practice, and I'm going to say, hey, remember, when this is here, I might go here because of this. I'm just giving you tools. But again, my time as a player is done. So all I have to do is sit in the back and call a couple of plays. You're the one who has to go out and make quick decisions at rapid fire pace, right? So it's all about them and what they feel comfortable and what they want to do. I let my players, right, give input on our tempo calls, which also allowed for some laughter and some fun. But also, our play development and our design, right? We might do certain things because of they're seeing something different than what I'm seeing over on the sideline.
Yeah. Great. Really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you for that, Deante. So this season, we do have an additional segment. It's called If I Knew Then. So, coach, thinking back to your first day coaching flag football, if you know then what you know now, what would you tell yourself on the first day?
Ooh, that is such a deep question. I try to think beforehand of what I would answer. But if I knew I was going to be in this role, I'd probably just tell my younger self, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. Right. Like I mentioned before, there was a lot of voices of saying you're doing too much, or you're trying to make, a varsity sport out of a small club, if you will. But I knew something in my heart, as I was just constantly just was telling me, right, just keep going. Don't give in, and don't do less than what you think you need to do. So I would just encourage myself, like, hey, where you're going to end up, right, you're going to be thankful that you put this much effort and time in, and these young women are going to benefit from it, right, because they deserve for you to put your whole heart into this.
Yeah. Oh, great. And then last thing, could you please finish this sentence, Deante? Flag football isn't just blank. It's actually blank.
Oh, you say the hardest ones for last.
We're almost there, okay?
This is the last question.
I mean, I'll try to finish it how you want, but one big thing I've been saying to the girls here, right, is we're not here to just sit still and look pretty. We're here to play some freaking ball. We're here to play and leave our mark. So, flag football it's not powder puff. It's not that. This is football, and this is a real sport.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Beautiful. You've done so well. Thank you so much, Deante. I'm sorry if it made you feel like, oh my God, those are really difficult questions, but your answers are absolutely brilliant and really inspiring, I found. So
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it, because we did.
Well, thank you. It's been a blast.
I think, because we have a background in psychology, our questions are very mental. Like, we want to understand why coaches or why players do certain things. So, the questions are a bit more deep and sometimes unexpected, but I hope you enjoyed them.
Oh, well, I've been great. I love deep questions. I think it's great for anyone, right? These are great questions that maybe I didn't even think about, right? I mean, I've never thought of flag football. It's not this. So, I may say it, but I haven't thought of it being answered in that question or just other questions that you asked. So it's really important, because now I can take that, find a spin on it, and ask the girls, and ask other coaches in my circle.
That's nice. That's great to hear. That's really lovely feedback for us too. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your leadership as you build your program. Can you please tell our listeners where they can find you or your program if they want to know more?
Yeah, well, we do have a social media account, UWO Flag FB, so they can follow us on there, or they can go to the UWO Athletics
Okay.
page, go to the sports tab, go to women's sports, and you're out there. You can fill out our recruiting questionnaire. But our games will be there, our schedule's there, our roster's on there. Everything that you need is on there. And then always just check out the UW Oshkosh website to see what a great, beautiful campus this is.
Beautiful. And then to our listeners, follow Talking Flag on all platforms for full episodes, clips, and behind the scenes.
And if you are inspired by leaders building the sport from the ground up, coaches, founders, or maybe even athletes, you can always DM us, because we want to hear your story.
Keep chasing those flags. And remember, sport is about more than winning. It's about opportunity and impact. Until the next one. Thank you so much, Deante.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.